Superman's powers are boring. What? Let me explain. Guess who? Flight, super strength, super speed, invulnerability, and the occasional cape. You guessed it, it's Superman. Wait, Superman? Superman. Almost every superhero universe has at least one character with those powers. Maybe more, maybe less, but for some strange reason, it's always them who are written to be one of, if not the strongest being on the planet. So why are we not bored yet? Today we're gonna look at 5 increasingly complex ways in which more than 15 Superman-like characters were written, how their stories have stakes and tension even when the protagonist is seemingly not yet, and how they ultimately make the flying, super strong, and destructible alien trope we've seen a million times interesting. By the way, there's spoilers for everything, so be careful. Turning Superman evil is the simplest way of playing with the Man of Steel's powers, or at least that's what it seems at first. Brightburn, for example, tells the story of an alien kid who's raised by farmers, and when he discovers he has powers, he wants to kill everyone. Yeah, that's it. It's a slasher. What do you expect, character development? Megamind, on the other hand, tells the story of a less than ordinary man who gains superpowers, but who turns evil after his co-worker said she won't let him hit. Another simple take on evil Superman that, although executed perfectly, especially for a kids movie, it unfortunately didn't have as much time or the R rating to develop the concept, as well as 3 evil Supermen who took the idea one step further by writing each character around the simple goal of answering 3 very particular questions. Due to his Viltrumite purpose of banging Debbie and taking over Earth,
I do love your mother, but she's more like a pet.
Omni-Man's writing can be easily defined as the answer to the "what if an evil Superman came to Earth" question. Yes, I'm pretty sure. The cool thing is that instead of answering the question by making the show solely focused on on Mark, and making it so that in the last episode a man with the same powers comes to take over the planet, which would be an example of meh writing, they instead made the Superman character raise the main character, then deliver the plot twist, and ultimately fail his task. Not because of an expensive and predictable battle between 2 flying super strong individuals we've seen countless times, but rather a crazily unfair fight.
Please.
Good.
That ends by changing the villain's mindset for the rest of the show with one of the most emotional one-liners I've ever heard.
What will you have after 500 years?
You, Dad. I still have you.
Sick, right? Well, guess what? I have something even sicker. No, he's literally insane. Homelander is an evil Superman who was born and raised in a lab after being given the super soldier serum. Wait, that's not what it is? The hell is Compound V? He's the answer to the question, what if Superman was raised evil? Making for a deep story of an immature and unstable character that lives in a world that is as rotten as he is. It's not just the powers that make him interesting. It's his violent nature, his fetishes and tantrums, the dystopian world of death and clout he lives in, and the fact that his biggest weaknesses are nothing more than his son and the public eye. Until they're not, of course. So yeah, he's insane, but not at the point of wanting to take over the world, because it's a 5-season show, and the world conqueror role has already been taken by someone far scarier than Homelander. Me if you don't subscribe. Nah, just kidding, but please do. Thanks. Although the Injustice Superman is still Clark Kent, his story is so complex that it deserves to be considered a whole different character. He answers the question, what if Superman turned evil? Because his defining factor is that, unlike every other past example, he was good at one point. But the murder of Lois Lane made him snap, and become a worldwide dictator. And that's fucking scary. But there's a problem. A huge one. Mark vs. Conquest, Superman vs. Zod, Homelander vs. British, Naked and Manly Man, Superman vs. Superman, and many other examples expose the biggest flaw when ending any evil Superman story. And it's that if the villain doesn't have a family to give them a one-liner or a hug to calm them down, they usually end up getting beaten by an equal or some kryptonite. Which isn't bad per se, I'm never saying no to a good fight scene, but there's room for more intricate ways of writing that we'll explore throughout the video. So how about we look at a more complex way to write a Superman type character whose story is less about being evil and more about being invincible. Finally, dude. This might sound stupid at first because aren't all of these characters already meant to be super powerful and unkillable? Yes, they are. But just like before, I found two examples of how making invincibility the defining factor of the character makes for a unique storytelling technique that you've probably never thought about before, starting with Hancock? You're probably asking yourself, what the hell does Hancock have to do with Superman? And the answer is, well, everything we care about. Just like Superman with Metropolis, Hancock is the flying, super strong, super fast, bulletproof alien who defends LA hands away. His story is about forcibly learning that he can either be a jerk with no one to stop him,
asshole,
because he's practically unstoppable as long as he's far enough from his wife.
And when we get close to our opposites, we lose our power.
Or he can behave, be a real hero, and accept the responsibility of being one. Few stories get this deep into the responsibility aspect of being this powerful, of being almost, if not straight up, invincible. And believe it or not, this show that I won't mention the name of because I've said it too many times now, does it too. Just like Hancock, Mark is the strongest being on his planet. And although he is very much invincible, his story revolves around the fact that he's the best bet the planet has against Viltrumite attacks. Which means that whenever he's struggling or his bones get crushed, broken, or folded like straws, the audience gets to feel all of it. The whole show follows Mark learning and training to become invincible. Yet whenever he isn't, that's when the story gets good. And the same thing happens with Hancock when he begins to lose his powers and is forced to fight without them, because it's the exact moment when we think, hey, he might actually die here. Neither of these characters are actually undefeatable, but both of their stories do revolve around the responsibilities that come with such high levels of power. And that's something Uncle Ben would be proud of. Although the phrase is missing something, because there's a second, kind of funny and unexpected side effect from getting such high levels of power, and this bald dude is gonna help us explain it. You'd be surprised to know how accurate that statement really is. Although I haven't seen the show,
Yeah, for real.
I understand that the gist of it is that the Saitama guy is so incredibly powerful that every fight results in either a win for him or a tie, which really doesn't seem that exciting for him. Bro looks so chill all the time, what the heck? He's the embodiment of activating cheats or giving yourself max stats in a game. Sure, you're overpowered as hell, and I officially hate you if you do that, but where's the fun in that? It's so not fun that Markiplier from Megamind even went as far as offing himself after stopping time and realizing that living in easy mode isn't really that exciting. Hell, you could even say that Goku's Saiyan tendency of always training for tougher challenges and actively looking to fight stronger enemies is another way of showing the hurdle that Superman characters must go through whenever they're written to be invincible. If the character isn't constantly looking for tougher challenges or something more interesting to do other than saving or killing people, their life would become devoid of any meaning. and the show would get really old really fast. And that's exactly why it works. To make them young. Talk about a segue, holy shit. Just like Invincibility, making them young doesn't literally mean making the character 12, but rather giving Superman levels of power to someone as immature and unstable as Speed when you point a camera at him. The best example of this is probably Homelander. If you look over the milk drinking and superhuman tantrums, this 35-year-old man is known for being incredibly unstable and reactive, meaning he doesn't think before he acts, he just does. His goal as a villain is probably the most interesting and complex narrative in the show, because unlike most villains who try to destroy the city, perform their evil plan, or enact revenge, Homelander's motivation is being loved, feeling important, and constantly reminding himself, either by crushing people's heads or literally talking to himself in the mirror, that he's above every human on Earth. Because, well,
I'm better! I am better!
And that is how you write immaturity the right way. But we can go further. Or younger. Because before Mark Grayson reached the level of maturity he has now, the writers made this 17-year-old live every canon event a guy his age must go through. He got bullied, fell in love, almost got killed by his father, kinda went to college, broke up with his girlfriend, met his alien baby brother, found true love, made plans for the future, and then survived countless near-death experiences. Did you notice the balance? Making Mark learn and grow through life as a teen and young adult is something that constantly reminds us that although he's an almost invincible superhuman, he's still young, naive, and immature. Although not as much as Billy Batson, of course. I'm well aware that Shazam isn't Superman, obviously, but their powers are similar enough that I can explain how making Superman literally young isn't that crazy of an idea. Because if you can have an adult acting like a baby and a teen forced to act as an adult, why not have a child posing as a grown-up? Think about this. What were you doing when you were in your 10s or something? Personally, I was watching the newly released Civil War while wishing I could see Deadpool. Let me save you the trouble, I was 10, now I'm 19. Anyway, whatever it is that you were doing at that age, I bet it doesn't even come close to joining the Justice League. Or does it? Shazam has a hidden superpower that few people talk about, and it's his ability to make young lads like us believe that there's a chance that someday they might be called in by a wizard and get magical powers, while also teaching them that it's just as fun as it is hard to be a superhero. While other heroes stop at responsibility, Shazam goes a tiny step further and shows hope. Hope that one day that kid will turn into a superhero by just saying, I feel you. That is exactly what I thought when I saw this scene from Thunderbolts, practically any appearance of Superman, and whatever this entire scene was.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier.
It's not every day you feel compassion for a hero that's so strong he could split gods in half. But surprisingly enough, it's always with these Superman level characters that the negative emotions tend to leave a stronger mark on the audience than with any other hero because of one simple reason. See if you can figure it out. Markiplier, the most powerful being on the planet, but who gets bored and depressed because he's so incredibly powerful that he got tired of playing the hero and FNAF games.
It's never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through. Hello everybody, my name is
Phenomenon is the massive tank who could go through Earth's core without a scratch, but who falls into the most god-awful depression I've seen in a video game after his girlfriend dumps him, becoming a literal useless brick whenever you fail a mission in the game. By the way, go play Dispatch whenever you can, it's amazing, you won't regret it, trust me. Finally, we have a 2-in-1 with Sentry. Literally. He's a godlike superhero deemed as having the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. But there's an evil side of him called the Void that is just as powerful, and he's got depression. So, did you catch the word? Defined as the state of being strikingly different from something else in close association, contrast is the word I'm choosing to explain the astronomical difference between the Superman levels of power and the sadness these guys feel. Contrast between power and weakness. And there are times where it isn't even physical at all. Sometimes depression, sadness, and/or grief can also be seen in different forms. Say, in the case of Injustice Superman as the reason he became evil in the first place, Bizarro whenever he isn't plain evil but just misunderstood, or Hancock feeling alone and hated throughout half the film. The point is, sadness is great. No, let me rephrase that. Making characters sad is great. Yeah, sure. Just look at how happy we got after Spider-Man was broke and lost his friends and family. Or maybe I'm just reading it wrong, and what we really love about him and someone like Superman is that they're just human. What does it mean to be human? One could say Superman did a great job at explaining it in his speech. We love, we get scared, we screw up, and making the alien feel and experience all of it and more is the way Superman writing has always been. However, what if I told you that humanity goes way beyond just his example and is practically the main reason any Superman story works? Check it out. Evilness, responsibility, immaturity, and depression. No, I'm not describing you or anyone in particular. I'm describing everyone. Think about everything we've talked about in the video, and then ask yourself, have you ever felt like doing something that wasn't right? When was the last time you didn't do something you should have done? How well do you remember how immature you were at 10, 15, 20, 30, 50? Or the last time you felt like the world would end because of how bad you were feeling about the most human thing? Well, Superman characters experience one or more of those emotions times 100. You can't have Injustice Superman without grief. You can't have All Might without responsibility. You can't have Invincible without him being in his 20s. You can't have Sentry without the Void. And there's a dozen more examples that I just didn't reference in the video that I would love you to mention in the comments. Because I'm sure that whether it's an extraterrestrial robot, an alien who barely understands what making love is, a black man suffering from exclusion and racism, or another dude whose powers come from sunlight, we'll never get bored of seeing these amazing powers. That is, as long as the stories are just as unpredictable as human beings themselves.
Because the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
And if you want to know how close we are to becoming Iron Man, watch this video next. And as always, thanks for watching.